The siren cut off too quickly, like it regretted being heard. Malik Carter felt the silence first. It pressed against his ears as he stood on the cracked sidewalk outside the community center. Chess clock still ticking in his backpack. Night air smelled like rain and hot asphalt. A patrol car idled behind him, engine humming, headlights bleaching his shadow thin and crooked against the brick wall. "Hands where I can see them." The voice came sharp, practiced. Officer Daniels stepped out slow, one hand already resting on his holster, eyes scanning Malik like he was reading a rap sheet written on skin. Malik lifted his hands, heart thudding out of rhythm. He was 16. He had just finished practice. His fingers still carried the ghost of wooden pieces, bishops and queens sliding across familiar squares. "Where you coming from?" Daniels asked. "The center," Malik said. "Chess club." Daniels' mouth twitched. "Sure." A second cruiser rolled up. Doors opened. Shoes scraped concrete. Someone laughed quietly. Daniels moved closer, close enough that Malik could smell coffee on his breath. "You match a description." "Of who?" Malik asked. Daniels didn't answer. He turned Malik around, metal biting into wrists, cold and final. A phone camera flashed from across the street. Someone whispered Malik's name. "That's him?" another officer asked. Daniels nodded. "He's resisting." "I'm not." The words cut off as Malik was pushed against the car, cheek pressed to steel, pulse roaring in his ears. His backpack hit the ground and split open. A chessboard slid out, pieces scattering across the pavement. The White King rolled to a stop near Daniels' boot. Daniels looked down, then back at Malik and said softly, "Should have stayed in your lane." Somewhere a clock kept ticking. Malik Carter had learned to breathe before he moved. Coach Levin drilled it into him the first year they met. Before the hand touched the piece. Before the mind committed to a line. Breathe. See the board. Then act. So when the blue lights flashed behind him, Malik stopped walking and breathed. The community center door shut with a hollow clang. Laughter from inside faded. The street felt suddenly too wide, too empty. Malik turned slowly, hands already lifting, backpack straps tugging at his shoulders. "Evening," he said. "Hands up," the officer replied. Malik raised them higher. "Is something wrong?" The officer stepped closer. Late 30s. His name tag read Daniels. His eyes moved fast, not missing anything, already deciding. "Where you headed?" Daniels asked. "Home. I was at practice." Daniels glanced past Malik at the building. "Practice for what?" "Chess." Daniels paused. Just a beat. Then a thin smile. "Turn around." "I didn't do anything," Malik said, calm but firm. Daniels' hand closed around Malik's wrist. "I said turn around." Metal snapped shut. Pain flared sharp and bright. "Hey!" Malik gasped. "Why are you?" "Stop resisting." "I'm not resisting." Daniels shoved him toward the cruiser. Malik stumbled, caught himself, cheeks scraping the hood. Cold seeped through his skin. Another car pulled up. Doors opened. "What's the issue?" a second officer asked. "Matches a description," Daniels said. "Of what?" Malik asked. No one answered. A phone camera lifted across the street. "Mrs. Alvarez from the corner store." Someone else whispered. Malik felt their eyes more than he saw them. Daniels tightened the cuffs. "You got anything on you we should know about?" "My backpack," Malik said. "It's just books." Daniels yanked it off and dumped it. A chessboard slid out, splitting open. Pieces scattered, clacking against pavement. A knight landed on its side. Daniels looked down. Then he laughed. "Real cute," he said. "That's for a tournament," Malik said. His voice shook now. He hated that it did. Daniels nudged a pawn with his boot. "You kids think you're real clever. I need to call my mom." "You'll get a phone call." "For what?" Malik asked. "What am I being arrested for?" Daniels leaned in, voice low. "You'll find out." The ride to the station was short and endless. Malik stared through the cage at passing streetlights, counting them without meaning to. 12, 13, 14. At the station they took his name like it was something they could keep. Took his fingerprints. Took his belt. Took his watch. "How old are you?" a clerk asked. 16. The clerk sighed. "Sit." The holding cell smelled like bleach and old sweat. Malik sat on the bench, wrists burning, replaying every second. He tried to see where he'd gone wrong, where he could have moved differently. There was no board. No choice. Hours later, his mother appeared, eyes red, jaw set hard. She reached for him and stopped when she saw the cuffs. "I want his charges," she said. Daniels stood across the room, resisting arrest. Malik looked at her. "I didn't." She believed him. He saw it instantly. That hurt more than anything. As they led him back, Malik glanced at the hallway floor. Someone had swept it clean. No pieces left behind. The station never slept, but it moved like it was tired of itself. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, flattening everything beneath them. Malik sat on a molded plastic chair bolted to the floor, hands clasped tight in his lap now that the cuffs were off. His wrists still throbbed, red rings darkening into something deeper. Every sound felt louder than it should have been. The slap of papers, the clack of a keyboard, a laugh that burst out too sharp and died too fast. An officer behind the desk didn't look at him. Full name: Malik Carter. Address: Malik gave it. His voice came out steadier than he felt. The officer typed, stopped, frowned. "You got an ID?" "I'm 16. The officer clicked his tongue. "Figures." Malik stared at the wall. A poster hung crooked, something about community trust and shared responsibility. One corner was peeling, the tape yellowed. A door opened down the hall. Daniels walked past, talking to another officer. They were smiling. "Kid had an attitude," Daniels said. "Wouldn't listen." The other officer snorted. "They never do." Malik felt heat crawl up his neck. He said nothing. Coach Levin's voice echoed in his head, uninvited. "Control the center. Don't react to bait." A woman in a gray blazer appeared beside him. "I'm your public defender," she said quickly. "Ms. Hargreave. We don't have much time." "Why am I here?" Malik asked. She lowered her voice. "They're saying you resisted. There's also talk of disorderly conduct." "I didn't," Malik said. "I just asked what was happening." She nodded like she'd heard it before. "I know. Right now, you need to answer only what I tell you to answer." "My mom. She's on her way." Malik exhaled. Shook anyway. They took his fingerprints next. Ink pressed into his skin, black and sticky. Each finger rolled, lifted, rolled again. It felt permanent even when he knew it wasn't. A camera waited in a small room. White backdrop. A number on a board. "Chin up," an officer said. The flash went off. Malik blinked, jaw clenched. Somewhere outside the station. His face was already traveling faster than he could. Angela Carter arrived just after midnight. Malik heard her before he saw her. Her voice cut through the station, sharp with fear wrapped tight around anger. "Where is my son?" She rounded the corner and froze when she saw him. Her eyes swept him fast. His wrists, his face, his posture, cataloging damage. "Are you hurt?" she asked. "I'm okay," Malik said. She turned to the desk. "Why is he here?" Daniels stepped forward like he'd been waiting. "Your son resisted a lawful stop." "He did not," Angela said. Daniels shrugged. "That's not what my report says." Malik watched his mother's hands curl into fists, then relax. She breathed in slow, controlled pulls. Malik recognized the move. He'd learned it from her. "You arrested a child," she said. "Outside a community center." He matched a description. "Of what?" Daniels didn't answer. Again. Ms. Hargreave stepped in. "We'll be contesting the charge." Daniels smiled thinly. "Good luck." They were released just before dawn. No apology. No explanation. A court date printed on paper that felt heavier than it looked. Outside, the sky was gray and low. The city looked washed out, like color had been drained overnight. Angela drove without speaking for several blocks. Malik watched familiar streets slide by, suddenly unfamiliar. "Did you touch him?" Angela asked finally. "No," Malik said. "I swear." She nodded once. "I know." At home, Malik showered until the water ran cold. He scrubbed his wrists, his neck, his face like he could wash the night away. Clung anyway. He didn't sleep. He sat at his desk, chessboard set up in front of him, pieces arranged in the opening Coach Levin drilled into him. He stared at it without moving. His phone buzzed. A message from Jamal. "Bro, are you okay?" Another from a classmate he barely spoke to. "Saw the video." "What video?" Malik muttered. He opened the link. The clip was shaky, shot from across the street. It caught the moment his backpack hit the ground, pieces spilling out. It caught Daniel's voice, distorted but clear enough. "Stop resisting." The comments scrolled endlessly. Some defended him. Others didn't. Should have complied. Probably did something. Always a reason. Malik closed the app. His hands trembled now. He pressed them flat against the desk until they stilled. By morning the school had called. Pending investigation, Malik was suspended from extracurricular activities. Chess included. "They say it's procedural," Angela told him, phone still in her hand. "They say it's temporary." "It's the tournament next month," Malik said. "I know." Coach Levin called that afternoon. His voice was careful. "I'm working on it," he said. "But the administration is nervous." "Nervous about what?" Malik asked. Levin hesitated. "Public attention." Malik laughed once, sharp and humorless. "I didn't ask for that." "No," Levin said. "You didn't." That evening a local news segment aired. 15 seconds. Grainy footage. The word altercation used twice. Angela turned the TV off. "They're controlling the story." Malik sat on the couch, knees pulled up, feeling smaller than he had in years. At the station, Daniels finished his report. He typed quickly, confidently. Words stacked neatly, shaping the night into something clean and justified. Outside, Malik reset his board. He moved a pawn forward. The game had started whether he wanted it or not. By Monday morning, Malik's name moved faster than he did. Whispers followed him down the hallway, sliding between lockers and tiled floors. Some faces looked away too quickly. Others stared like they were trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. The assistant principal didn't offer him a chair. "Pending the outcome of the investigation," she said, reading from a sheet of paper. "You're suspended from all extracurricular activities." Malik waited. "Including chess." She nodded without looking up. "Including chess." Angela leaned forward. "On what basis?" "It's standard," the assistant principal said. "We have to consider the school's reputation." Malik felt something tighten in his chest. "So I'm punished before anything's proven." The woman's mouth flattened. "This isn't a punishment." Felt like one. Coach Levin met Malik outside the office. His tie was crooked, eyes tired. "I tried," he said quietly. "They're scared." "Of me?" Malik asked. "Of attention," Levin replied. "Of parents calling. Of headlines." Malik nodded. He'd already learned how fear moved. Sideways, never straight at the thing that caused it. Home, Malik studied alone. He set the board, pieces aligned with military precision. He replayed famous matches from memory, games he'd memorized move by move. He stopped halfway through one and frowned. The position was wrong. Not on the board. In his head. He couldn't see the next move. His phone buzzed again. "Jamal. They saying wild stuff at school." Malik typed back. "Like what?" "That you swung on a cop." Malik stared at the message until the words blurred. He imagined Daniel's report, the clean sentences, the confident lies. That afternoon, a man knocked on their door. Mid-40s. press badge clipped to his jacket. "I'm from the Chronicle," he said. "Mind if I ask a few questions?" Angela blocked the doorway. "No." The man nodded, respectful enough. "If you change your mind." Malik watched from the living room. He felt exposed, like his walls had turned transparent. Later, Coach Levin called again. "The Federation reached out," he said. "They heard." Malik's head snapped up. "Heard what?" "About the arrest," Levin said. "About you." "And?" Malik asked. "They're asking for details." Angela closed her eyes. "So now it's everywhere." "It might help," Levin said. "They know your record. Your discipline." Malik pictured the body cam footage still unreleased, locked away in some digital drawer. "They'll believe him," Malik said. "He wears a badge." Levin didn't argue. At the precinct, Daniels sat through a meeting with Internal Affairs. It wasn't an investigation. Not really. More like a formality. "Any prior contact with the suspect?" an investigator asked. Daniels shook his head. "None." "Body cam activated," Daniels said. "There was resistance. The angle didn't catch everything." The investigator nodded, already moving on. "Okay." Daniels left the room without breaking stride. Outside, he checked his phone. A group chat lit up with jokes, memes, a link to the video. "You good?" Someone texted. Daniels typed back, "Kid tried it. All clean." Across town, Malik sat at his desk, the board still frozen. He heard his mother on the phone in the kitchen, voice low and steady. "Yes. Yes, I understand. No, we're not looking for a settlement, thank you." She came in and sat across from him. The prosecutor offered a plea. Malik looked up. "Already. Disorderly conduct," she said. "No contest. Community service. And the resisting charge. Dropped if you take it." Malik laughed, a short bark that surprised them both. "So I admit to something I didn't do so they can say they were right." Angela met his eyes. "I won't make you do that. But if I don't, they'll drag it out," she said. "I know." Malik leaned back, staring at the ceiling. "I just wanted to play chess." That night, he dreamed of the board collapsing. Squares falling away one by one, pieces dropping into darkness. He woke up gasping. The next day a package arrived. Inside was a printed article from an online chess forum. The headline was careful, neutral. "Youth champion faces charges after police encounter." Comments filled the margins. "Doesn't look like the type. Talented kid. Shame. Let the courts decide." Coach Levin had circled one line in red, ranked 12th nationally in his age group. Malik held the paper like it might cut him. On Wednesday, the body cam footage leaked. Not all of it, just enough. It showed Malik with his hands up. Showed the cuffs snapping shut. Showed the chess pieces on the ground. It didn't show resistance. By evening the tone shifted. New comments appeared. New voices. Angela watched Malik read them, hope flickering and fading in his eyes. "Careful," she said. "Don't let them turn you into a symbol." Malik nodded. "I don't want that." But symbols didn't ask permission. At night, Malik returned to the board. He reset the pieces again. This time he forced himself to move. Pawn to e4. The position opened. Lines appeared. Threats and possibilities. He wasn't winning. Not yet. But he could see again. Somewhere, Daniels refreshed his feed and frowned. The comments weren't as friendly anymore. The board had tilted. And neither of them could pretend it hadn't. The courtroom smelled like old paper and disinfectant. Malik sat between his mother and Ms. Hargreave, feet flat on the floor, hands folded the way Coach Levin taught him to sit at the board. Still, deliberate, unreadable. The benches behind them filled slowly. A few reporters. 2 men from a local advocacy group. People he didn't know, watching him like he was a headline waiting to happen. Officer Daniels stood near the prosecutor's table. Uniform crisp, posture relaxed. He didn't look at Malik. The judge entered. Everyone rose. The gavel struck once. Case of the state versus Malik Carter, the judge said. Preliminary hearing. The prosecutor spoke first, voice smooth, practiced. The defendant resisted a lawful stop, creating a risk to officer safety. Ms. Hargreave rose. There is no evidence of resistance. The prosecutor smiled faintly. The officer's testimony will establish otherwise. Daniels took the stand. He spoke with confidence, words stacking neatly, each sentence supporting the next. Malik listened, jaw tight. He was agitated, Daniels said. Non-compliant. I gave clear commands. What commands? Ms. Hargreave asked. Hands up. Turn around. And did he comply? At first, Daniels said. Then he tensed. Pulled away. Malik felt his mother stiffen beside him. Ms. Hargreave nodded. You say he pulled away. Is that visible on the body cam footage? Daniels paused. The angle doesn't capture everything. But it does show his hands raised, she said. Yes, Daniels said. Before he resisted. The judge leaned forward. Is the full footage available? The prosecutor cleared his throat. The department has requested additional time to review. Malik felt something cold settle in his stomach. Delay. He'd learned that move too. Outside the courtroom, cameras waited. Angela shielded Malik with her body as they passed. Malik, a reporter called. Do you want to respond? No, Angela said sharply. They walked on. That afternoon, Ms. Hargreave laid it out. They're hoping you fold, she said. The plea is still on the table. Malik shook his head. I won't lie. I know, she said. But understand the cost. The cost showed up everywhere. The school counselor called, suggesting Malik take time away, for his own well-being. A sponsor quietly withdrew support. A neighbor crossed the street instead of saying hello. At chess practice, now held unofficially in Coach Levin's garage, only 3 kids showed up. They're scared, one of them said, eyes on the floor. Malik nodded. It's okay. It wasn't. That night, Angela found Malik staring at his board, pieces mid-game. You don't have to be strong all the time, she said. I'm not trying to be, Malik replied. I'm trying to think. He moved a bishop then stopped. In chess, when someone puts you in check, it's obvious, he said. Here they say it's for my safety. Angela sat across from him. That's how power hides. 2 days later, the body cam footage was released. Fully this time. It spread in minutes. The silence in the video was louder than the accusations. Malik's hands up. His voice calm. Daniels' command. Handcuffs. No resistance. By evening, the prosecutor's office issued a statement. We are reviewing the evidence. Reviewing meant pressure. The advocacy group called. Then a civil rights attorney. Then a national chess organization. We'd like Malik to speak, one of them said. Just briefly. Malik shook his head. They'll twist it. Coach Levin disagreed gently. Your silence already speaks, he said. But your voice could too. Malik thought of Daniel's line. Should have stayed in your lane. He agreed to one statement. They set up a microphone outside the courthouse. Malik stood straight, shoulders squared, eyes forward. I did nothing wrong, he said. I followed instructions. I was arrested anyway. I just want the truth on record. No shouting. No anger. It hit harder that way. Inside the precinct, Daniels watched the clip on his phone. His jaw tightened. Messages slowed. One stopped entirely. Internal Affairs called him back in. This is routine, they said. Daniels nodded. Of course. They asked the same questions again. This time they pressed. Why did you say he resisted? Daniels met their gaze. That's how it felt in the moment. Feelings aren't facts, the investigator said. Daniels said nothing. The next hearing came faster. The judge watched the footage without interruption. When it ended, the courtroom was silent. Officer, the judge said, Your report does not align with the video. Daniel's mouth opened, then closed. I am ordering the resisting charge dismissed, the judge continued. The remaining charge will be reviewed. Angela squeezed Malik's hand. Relief surged and stopped short. Outside, reporters swarmed again. This isn't over, Ms. Hargreaves said quietly. She was right. That night, Malik sat alone, replaying a Grandmaster game on his laptop. The commentator's voice was calm, analytical. White is in check, but the position is not lost. Malik leaned forward. On the board, a single move changed everything. He shut the laptop and looked at his own pieces. The king was exposed. The board hostile. But the game wasn't finished. Check didn't mean checkmate. Not yet. The story changed its shape once people started asking the right questions. Didn't happen all at once. Never did. First came the pauses. The anchors hesitating before repeating the police version. The editors cutting away a second later than planned. Then came the follow-ups. Why was he stopped? Why were the cuffs applied so quickly? Why did the report say resisted when the video did not? Malik watched it unfold from the quiet of his living room. Knees drawn up, phone buzzing non-stop on the cushion beside him. He didn't answer most of the messages. He read them like moves on a board, looking for intent. A knock came at the door just after noon. This time Angela opened it without blocking the doorway. The journalist introduced herself as Priya Shah. Mid-30s. Ms. Notebook already open. I'm not here for a quote, she said. I'm here for context. Angela studied her for a moment, then stepped aside. Priya sat across from Malik, not too close. I pulled Officer Daniel's record, she said. Public complaints. Use of force reviews. Nothing that stuck. But, Malik asked. But a pattern, Priya said. Stops that escalate. Language that repeats. Supervisors who sign off. Angela leaned forward. Can you prove it? Priya tapped her notebook. I can show it. The article went live that evening. It didn't accuse. It documented. Locations. Quotes pulled directly from reports. The same phrases appearing again and again. Agitated, non-compliant, resisted. Always attached to the same kind of suspect. By morning, the department issued a statement defending Daniel's service record. By noon, the statement was being dissected line by line. Coach Levin called Malik, voice tight with emotion. The Federation released a statement, he said. They're standing with you. Malik closed his eyes. I didn't ask for that. I know, Levin said. But it matters. Emails followed. Invitations. Interview requests. Malik declined them all except one. A chess podcast he trusted. The host didn't ask about the arrest first. He asked about Malik's favorite opening. The Korokan, Malik said. Solid. Patient. People say it's boring, the host joked. Malik smiled faintly. Only if you don't know what you're looking at. They talked chess for 20 minutes before the host shifted gently. How do you keep your composure? Malik thought of the cuffs. Pavement. The king rolling to a stop. I practice, he said. The clip went viral. Inside the precinct, the mood shifted. Daniels noticed it in the way conversations stopped when he walked into a room. In the way his supervisor avoided eye contact. Internal Affairs called again. This time they didn't say routine. They slid the article across the table. Explain this. Daniels skimmed it, jaw tightening. Coincidence, he said. 6 complaints in 4 years, the investigator replied. All dismissed. All similar. Daniels leaned back. You saying I target people? I'm saying the public is asking, the investigator said. And now we have to answer. At home, Malik prepared for the tournament. The organizers hadn't withdrawn the invitation. They doubled down. We believe in due process, the email read. The venue was 2 hours away. Angela insisted on driving. You don't have to come, Malik said. I do, she replied. The hall buzzed with low conversation and the soft clatter of pieces. Malik breathed it in. The familiar smell of polish and paper grounded him. Some players glanced at him, curious. Others nodded in recognition. At board 3, a man in a blazer approached. "Malik Carter," he said. "I'm the arbiter. Just wanted to say, play your game." Malik set his pieces. Across from him. His opponent hesitated. "Sorry," the man said quietly. "About everything." Malik nodded. "Let's play." Move by move the noise faded. The board narrowed his world to 64 squares. Midway through the match, a murmur rippled through the hall. Phones lit up. Whispers spread. Malik didn't look up. He finished the game in 46 moves. Checkmate. Only then did he glance at his phone. Charges under review. Officer reassigned pending investigation. Department faces scrutiny. Angela stood near the doorway, eyes shining. She held up the phone like proof. Malik felt the victory and the weight beneath it. At the precinct, Daniels cleaned out his locker. Not officially, just the things that mattered. A fellow officer watched from the doorway. "It'll blow over," he said. Daniels didn't answer. That night, the prosecutor's office announced a decision. The remaining charge against Malik was dropped, in the interest of justice. No apology. No admission. Malik read the statement twice. Relief washed through him. Then something darker followed close behind. "It's over," Angela said. "No," Malik replied. "It's just off me." The article updated again. This time it wasn't about Malik. It was about the department, about oversight, about credibility. Daniel's name appeared less and less. When it did, it was in past tense. Malik returned home after the tournament, trophy heavy in his bag. He set it on his desk beside the board. He didn't feel like celebrating. He reset the pieces, hands steady now. He looked at the opening position and saw it clearly. Exposure wasn't checkmate. But it was irreversible. The board had changed. The room for the civil hearing was smaller than the courtroom, tighter, like it was designed to keep truth from echoing. Malik sat at the table with Angela and Ms. Hargreave, a yellow legal pad in front of him he hadn't written on. Across the aisle, Officer Daniels sat with the city's attorney, posture rigid, hands folded as if discipline alone could protect him. "This is not a trial," the mediator began. "This is a fact-finding proceeding." Malik heard the word fact and almost smiled. The city's attorney spoke first. Officer Daniels acted within department policy. Ms. Hargreave leaned forward. "Policy does not excuse false reporting." Daniels was called. He stood, sworn in again, voice measured. "I perceived a threat." "What threat?" Ms. Hargreave asked. "The suspect's demeanor," Daniels said. "His body language." "Describe it," she said. "He tensed," Daniels repeated. "Pulled away." Ms. Hargreave clicked a remote. The paused bodycam frame filled the screen. Malik's hands up, shoulders relaxed. "Show us," she said. Daniels stared at the image. "It's subtle." "So subtle it doesn't appear," she asked. The city's attorney objected. The mediator allowed the question. Daniels swallowed. "Not everything shows on camera." "Correct," Ms. Hargreave said. "Which is why reports matter. Accuracy matters." Malik felt his pulse in his ears. He didn't look at Daniels. He looked at the table, at the grain in the wood, grounding himself. Then it was Malik's turn. He stood. The room felt warmer. "Mueller. Tell us what you remember," the mediator said. Malik spoke plainly. He described the lights, the commands, the cuffs. He described complying. He did not raise his voice. He did not editorialize. "Did you resist?" the mediator asked. "No," Malik said. "Why didn't you argue more?" Malik paused. "Because I was afraid." Silence followed. It wasn't sympathetic. It was clinical. After the mediator thanked him. Like this was a presentation. Outside, reporters waited again. Malik walked past them without stopping. Inside the precinct, The internal investigation accelerated. Emails surfaced. Training materials. A supervisor's note advising Daniels to slow down. Daniels sat with his union representative, jaw clenched. "They're building a narrative," he said. "They already have one," the representative replied. "We need to minimize damage." Damage was a word that moved easily between rooms. At school, Malik returned to class. No announcement, no acknowledgement, just desks and bells and teachers who spoke carefully around him. A boy in the back muttered, "Must be nice." Malik ignored him. In the hallway, Jamal caught up. "You good?" Malik shrugged. "I'm here." "That cop's in trouble," Jamal said. "People saying he's dirty." Malik stopped. "That's not what this is." Jamal frowned. "What is it then?" Malik thought of the hearing room. Of the mediator's voice. "It's a system correcting itself," he said. "Barely." At home, Angela met with the civil rights attorney. Malik listened from the stairs. "They'll offer a settlement," the attorney said. "Quiet money. No admission." Angela crossed her arms. "And the officer?" "Reassigned," the attorney said. "Maybe suspended." Angela shook her head. "That's not enough." Malik stepped down. "I don't want revenge," he said. "I want it to stop." The attorney nodded slowly. "Then we push for policy change." That night Malik couldn't sleep. He set up his board and played against himself, forcing difficult positions, practicing defense. Counterplay meant accepting pressure and finding space anyway. His phone buzzed. An unknown number. "This is Officer Daniels. I'd like to talk." Malik stared at the screen. His chest tightened. He didn't respond. The next morning the message spread anyway. Someone leaked it. The narrative twisted again. Officer reaches out. Daniels sat alone in his car outside the precinct, phone dark in his hand. He replayed the night over and over, trying to find the moment it went wrong. He told himself he'd acted on instinct, on training. The problem was the evidence didn't care. The city announced new interim measures. Body cam review protocols. Mandatory reporting audits. Reactive, the advocacy group called it. Necessary, the city said. At the next hearing, the mediator delivered findings. The arrest lacked sufficient cause. The report contained inconsistencies. No criminal penalty. No dramatic condemnation. But the words landed. The department placed Daniels on administrative leave pending final review. Malik watched the announcement on his phone between classes. He felt nothing at first. Then a slow, unfamiliar grief. Coach Levin found him in the cafeteria. "You okay?" Malik nodded. "I thought I'd feel better." Levin Saturday. "Justice isn't clean." That afternoon Malik played blitz games online, fast and unforgiving. He lost 2 he should have won. He didn't slam the table. He reset. Counterplay wasn't about winning immediately. It was about surviving pressure without breaking. Angela came home late, exhausted. "They're drafting policy recommendations," she said. "You'll be cited." "As what?" Malik asked. She smiled sadly. "As the example." Malik looked at his board. The pieces were mid-fight, kings exposed, tension everywhere. In counterplay you accepted risk to gain time. He made a move. Quiet one. Defensive. Necessary. The game wasn't over. But it had changed pace. And both sides knew it. The tournament hall felt different this time. Not louder. Not brighter. Just heavier, like the air itself knew what was at stake. Malik stood near the entrance, backpack slung over one shoulder, fingers brushing the zipper out of habit. Rows of tables stretched across the room, boards already set, clocks waiting. The low murmur of players warming up rolled like a tide. This was supposed to be familiar. Angela stopped beside him. "You don't have to prove anything today." Malik nodded. "I know." But they both understood that wasn't entirely true. Word had spread overnight. A push notification from a national outlet. Teen chess prodigy once arrested now plays amid police investigation. The headline followed him into the hall, invisible but present. He checked in at the desk. The volunteer glanced at the name, then up at his face. "Board 1, she said. "Good luck." Board 1 meant no hiding. As Malik took his seat, cameras clicked softly from the back of the room. Tournament officials tried to keep them out, but curiosity leaked in anyway. His opponent arrived a moment later, a tall boy with nervous hands and a carefully neutral expression. They shook hands. "Sorry," the boy said quietly. "If this is weird." Malik met his eyes. "It's okay." The arbiter announced the start. Clocks clicked. Whites move. Malik reached out and paused. "Breathe. See the board. Then act. Pawn to d4. The game unfolded slowly, deliberately. Malik chose solid lines, positions that required patience rather than flair. He wasn't playing for spectacle. He was playing to endure. Across the room, a reporter whispered into a phone. "He looks calm," she said. "Focused." Midway through the game, Malik felt it. That familiar narrowing of the world. The noise dropped away. The weight lifted just enough. This was the lane they'd told him to stay in. And he owned it. At move 23, his opponent made a mistake. Small one. The kind Malik used to miss when he was younger, impatient. He didn't miss it now. 2 moves later, the advantage was clear. The boy across from him frowned, recalculated, sighed. "I didn't see that." Malik said nothing. When the handshake came, it was firm, respectful. "Good game," the boy said. "Good game," Malik replied. As he stood, his phone buzzed. A text from Coach Levin. "They're watching. Keep playing." Board 2 went faster. Board 3 was harder. Between rounds, Malik drank water, stretched his fingers, avoided the screens lining the walls. Angela watched from a distance, hands clasped, pride and worry twisting together in her chest. During the lunch break, an official approached Malik. "There's a press request," she said. "Off the record." Malik shook his head. "After." She nodded. "Of course." By the final round, the hall had filled. Spectators lined the edges. Whispers rose and fell. "That's him. The kid from the video. He's really that good." Malik sat at the board and felt the familiar steadiness settle in. The final game was sharp, aggressive. His opponent pushed early, testing him. Malik absorbed the pressure, pieces coordinating like they'd rehearsed this moment. At move 37, Malik sacrificed a rook. A murmur rippled through the crowd. The position cracked open. His opponent stared, calculating furiously, then shook his head. Checkmate came 3 moves later. The hall erupted, not loud but sustained. Applause spread table to table, measured but unmistakable. Malik leaned back, breath leaving him in a rush he hadn't realized he'd been holding. He was the champion. The trophy felt cold and solid in his hands. Cameras flashed now, unrestrained. Someone called his name. "Malik, over here." He stepped back, instinctively looking for his mother. Angela was already there, eyes wet, smile proud and fierce. She wrapped him in a hug that grounded him better than any victory. "You did it," she whispered. "We did," Malik replied. The press conference happened quickly. Short questions, careful answers. "How does it feel to win after everything?" one reporter asked. Malik considered the board in his mind. The sacrifices, patience. "It feels earned," he said. Another asked, "Do you see this as a statement?" Malik shook his head. "It's a game I love. That's all." Across town, Daniels watched the clip on a muted television in a waiting room. Malik's face filled the screen. Calm, controlled, victorious. The ticker below read, "Officer still on leave as review continues." Daniels looked away. That evening, Malik returned home exhausted. He placed the trophy on his desk beside the chessboard, its reflection catching the lamplight. He sat down and touched the pieces, resetting them slowly. Winning didn't erase the fear. It didn't undo the nights he'd woken up tense, replaying the sound of cuffs snapping shut. But it reminded him of something essential. They could interrupt his path, distort his story, delay him. They couldn't define his endgame. Malik looked at the opening position, saw the possibilities branching outward. The champion wasn't just the one who won. It was the one who endured long enough to finish the game. The announcement came on a Thursday afternoon, slipped into the news cycle between weather updates and traffic. The department has concluded its internal review. Malik read the statement twice at his desk, trophy still catching light beside him. The language was careful, antiseptic. Administrative violations. Failure to adhere to reporting standards. Corrective action. Officer Daniels would not be charged criminally. He would not be fired. He would be suspended without pay for 90 days and reassigned upon return. Mandatory retraining. A note placed in his file. Angela read over Malik's shoulder and exhaled slowly. They always do this part quietly. Malik nodded. Because it's not for us. The press called it accountability. The advocacy groups called it insufficient. The department called it closure. None of the words fit. At school, teachers congratulated Malik in low voices, like celebration might reopen wounds. The principal called him into the office. "We're pleased to see you thriving," the principal said. "Your suspension from extracurriculars has been lifted." Malik waited. "We'd like you to represent the school again," the principal added. "Chess reflects our values." Malik's mouth tightened. "Which ones?" The principal shifted. "Excellence." Malik stood. "I'll think about it." Outside, Jamal shook his head. "Man, they really acting like nothing happened." Malik said nothing. He'd learned that silence could be a mirror. The city council scheduled a hearing. Policy proposals. Public comment. Malik didn't want to go. Angela insisted. "You don't have to speak," she said. "Just be seen." The chamber buzzed with low anger and careful restraint. Malik sat in the front row, hands folded, eyes forward. A council member cleared her throat. "We are here to restore trust." A man from the advocacy group spoke next. "Trust isn't restored by reassignment." Applause. Muted but real. When Malik's name was called, he hesitated, then stood. "I won't talk long," he said. "I followed instructions. I was arrested anyway. The report said I resisted. I didn't. What happens next shouldn't depend on how much attention a case gets." He sat down. No flourish. No plea. Across town, Daniels packed a box at his kitchen table. His badge lay beside it, dull in the afternoon light. His phone buzzed once. Union rep confirming the suspension dates. His wife stood in the doorway. "What now?" she asked. Daniels rubbed his temples. "I don't know." "What about the kid?" she asked. Daniels looked up, startled. "What about him?" She didn't answer. At the precinct, his locker was empty. His name removed from the shiftboard. Conversations stopped when he passed. 90 days felt longer without the noise. For Malik, the days filled quickly. Interviews he declined. Panels he refused. A scholarship offer he accepted quietly. He returned to the board, to study, to routines that steadied him. One afternoon, Coach Levin stopped by. "The school wants you back on the team," he said. "I know. What do you want?" Malik considered the question longer than it deserved. "I want it to be honest." Levin nodded. "That's harder." They organized a small exhibition match at the community center, the same place Malik had been arrested. No press. Just boards and kids and folding chairs. Malik played 10 boards at once, moving from table to table, offering advice between moves. Laughter filled the room. The sound loosened something in his chest. Outside, a patrol car drove by. It didn't stop. Angela watched from the doorway, arms crossed, eyes wet. She hadn't realized how much that mattered until it happened. That night Malik dreamed again. This time the board didn't collapse. The pieces held. The following week, the department released revised guidelines. Clearer standards. Faster body cam release timelines. Independent review triggers. Reactive, the advocate said. Necessary, the city repeated. Malik read the document like a chess problem. Improvements, yes. Up still. Justice, he was learning, was incremental. Expensive. Uneven. The last news segment aired on a Sunday morning. Recap. Closing line. Both sides hoped to move forward. Malik turned the TV off. Forward wasn't a direction everyone shared. He sat at his desk and opened a notebook. Not a chess notebook. Plain one. He wrote, "What do I want to change?" He didn't answer it yet. At dinner, Angela asked, "Do you regret fighting it?" Malik shook his head. "I regret that it was necessary." She reached for his hand. "That means you're paying attention." Late that night, Malik set up the board one more time. The opening position stared back, familiar and infinite. Consequences weren't endings. They were positions. Some favored you. Some didn't. You played on anyway. Malik made the first move, quiet and deliberate, and felt the weight of the board settle into something manageable. The game was still unfinished. But the pieces were finally his again. The city learned how to move on faster than Malik did. The headlines faded. New footage replaced old outrage. The algorithms adjusted, and with them the urgency. Malik noticed it in small ways. Fewer notifications, fewer strangers recognizing him at the grocery store, fewer careful looks from teachers who'd once spoken to him like he might break. He welcomed the quiet and distrusted it. On a gray morning near the end of Daniel's suspension, Malik walked to the community center alone. The sidewalk was dry. The air smelled faintly of rain. He paused at the spot where the patrol car had idled months earlier and felt his chest tighten, then loosen. Inside, the chess room hummed softly. Kids clustered around boards, arguing about lines, laughing when clocks buzzed. Malik moved among them without ceremony, answering questions, nudging pieces back into place. "Is this good?" a girl asked, pointing at a knight. "It's brave," Malik said. "But look at what it leaves behind." She frowned, thought, then nodded. Coach Levin watched from the doorway. When Malik finished, Levin handed him an envelope. "From the Federation," he said. "Long-term support. Travel covered." Malik accepted it. "Thank you." Levin hesitated. "You've changed." Malik smiled faintly. "So has the board." Across town, Daniels returned to the precinct for an administrative meeting. No ceremony. No welcome back. Just a desk assignment, paperwork stacked high. His supervisor didn't look up. "You'll be on modified duty." "For how long?" Daniels asked. The supervisor shrugged. "Indefinitely." Daniels nodded, the motion automatic. He sat, opened a file, stared at words that no longer carried authority the way they used to. Lunch he ate alone. Malik's life reorganized itself around study and play. The scholarship finalized. The travel calendar filled. The routines returned, but they carried residue. Sometimes, a siren made his shoulders tense. Sometimes, a command barked in public froze him in place. He learned to breathe through it, not to shame himself for the delay. Angela noticed. She didn't push. One evening, Malik found her in the kitchen, reading a letter. "It's from the department," she said. "They want your feedback on the policy changes." Malik set his bag down. "Do they want it? Or do they want to say they asked?" Angela folded the letter carefully. "Both can be true." Malik sat at the table. He thought of the council chamber, the mediator's voice, the careful language that dulled sharp edges. "I'll write," he said. "But I won't soften it." Angela smiled. "I wouldn't expect you to." He wrote late into the night. Not angrily. Precisely. He described the stop. A delay. The report. A fear. He named the gaps and the consequences. He asked for timelines, not platitudes. When he finished, he felt emptied and steady. Weeks later, a response arrived. Formal, measured, acknowledging his points, promising review, committing to audits, incremental. Malik placed the letter beside his notebook and turned back to the board. The next tournament was in another state. The hall there was brighter, louder, more crowded. Malik took his seat at board 1 again, familiar now. His opponent smiled. "I watched your games," she said. "You're patient." Malik nodded. "I learned to be." The game was complex, tactical, demanding. Malik made a small error in the middle game and felt the old flicker of panic. Breathe. See the board. Then act. He found the resource. Simplified. Press 1. After, as he packed up, a man approached him quietly. "My son's starting chess," the man said. "He's nervous. Any advice?" Malik thought of the sidewalk. Handcuffs. The king rolling away. "Teach him to think," Malik said. "And to know his worth." At home, Malik placed the new trophy beside the others. He didn't line them up. He left space between them like pauses in a game that mattered. That night, he dreamed of an endgame position. Few pieces left, kings active, the board open. No noise. No audience. Just choices. In the morning, he woke calm. The city would keep moving. Departments would adjust and resist. Officers would be reassigned. Policies would be revised and tested. Malik would carry the cost. Quietly, daily, without ceremony. He would also carry the skill to see several moves ahead, to recognize traps, to play for position rather than spectacle. Endgames weren't about domination. They were about clarity. Malik set the board one last time and studied the position he loved most. King and pawn versus king. Simple. Honest. No tricks. He made the move that mattered, the one that couldn't be undone. Then he closed the box, slung his backpack over his shoulder, and stepped out into the day. Changed, not broken, the game still his to finish. The letter arrived without ceremony. No logo on the envelope. No urgent stamp. Just Malik's name, typed neatly, waiting on the kitchen table when he came home from school. Angela watched him pick it up. "You don't have to open it now." Malik nodded, then opened it anyway. Inside was a brief notice from the city's Civilian Oversight Board. Final summary. Findings reaffirmed. Recommendations adopted in part. A line at the bottom stood out, detached and impersonal. This case contributed materially to revised enforcement and reporting standards. Malik folded the paper once. Then again. He didn't feel pride. He didn't feel relief. He felt tired. School the year wound down. Graduation banners went up. Assemblies were held. Malik declined the invitation to speak. "They want a success story," Jamal said. "You're perfect for it." "I'm not a lesson," Malik replied. On the last day, Coach Levin pulled him aside. "I won't be coaching you next year," he said. "I'm retiring." Malik blinked. "I didn't know." Levin smiled. "You weren't supposed to." They stood in the empty chess room, boards stacked, chairs flipped upside down. "You taught me something," Levin said. Malik shook his head. "You taught me." Levin corrected him gently. "You showed me what discipline looks like when it's tested." They shook hands. It felt like closing a chapter without sealing it shut. That summer, Malik traveled more than he ever had. Tournaments, camps, quiet hotel rooms that smelled like detergent and unfamiliar air. On trains and buses, he studied endgames and policy documents side by side, switching between them when one became too heavy. Sometimes people recognized him. Most times they didn't. Both were a relief. In late July, Malik returned to the community center alone again. The room was empty this time. No boards set. No kids arguing. He walked to the window and looked out at the street. Patrol car passed, slow and unremarkable. His body tensed, then relaxed. Progress wasn't the absence of reaction. It was recovery time shortening. His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "This is Daniels. I won't contact you again after this. I owe you an apology. Malik stared at the screen for a long time. He didn't feel satisfaction. He didn't feel anger. He typed once, then erased it. Typed again. Up. He set the phone down without replying. Some moves didn't improve the position. Across town, Daniel sat at a small desk in a windowless office, reviewing footage he didn't control. He replayed stops, training videos, phrases he'd used without thinking. He saw them now. The shortcuts, the assumptions. Understanding arrived too late to be useful to anyone but himself. At home, Angela found Malik packing. "You ready?" she asked. "For what?" Malik said. "For leaving," she replied. Malik zipped his bag. "I think so." The night before his departure, Malik set up the board one final time. Not to play, just to look. He studied the empty squares where pieces had once clashed. The lines that mattered only when pressure came. Chess had taught him something systems rarely did. That rules meant nothing without enforcement, and enforcement meant nothing without accountability. He closed the board gently. At the bus station the next morning, Angela hugged him longer than usual. "Call me," she said. "I will." She stepped back, searching his face. "They didn't take this from you." Malik nodded. "They couldn't." As the bus pulled away, Malik watched the city recede. Streets layered with memory, pain, and unfinished work. He knew the story wouldn't end cleanly. Stories like his never did. But endgames weren't about endings. They were about conversion, turning advantage into something stable, something that lasted. Malik rested his head against the window, feeling the hum of motion steady his thoughts. The clock had stopped on one game. Another had already begun.